Hey, this Daily Dose of Darryl has a disclaimer. Only listen to this 15-minute segment if you're honest with God, open to His Spirit's leading, and honest with yourself. This is not one of those candy apple, butter 'em up, fancy dancy ones. This will hit you between the eyes if you're not careful. Just the other day, I heard someone say something that caused me to think, and I said that might end up being a daily dose of Darryl. As I was passing by, I overheard them saying, "Now I'm going to be honest with you." And of course, my thought was, like, what were you before now? Not honest? Have you ever thought about the power of words? And when we say to someone, "Now I'm going to be honest with you," we're basically saying, forget about what I've said before. Obviously, I was not honest with you. Now I'm going to be honest with you. We should, of course, be honest all the time. And we might have to be really quiet, because my mother taught me, if you can't say something good about someone, don't say anything at all, and be honest. And so perhaps I'm really quiet about some people. Okay, so words are important, but I want to go back a little further. I was raised in the South. I live in North Carolina, spent most of my life in North Carolina, but I was raised in Alabama in the deep South. And things happened down there that were just normal. We didn't think about them. They were just the way they were. For instance, I worked with my dad, and we worked with people that were black people. And they, of course, had to sit outside on the back porch and eat on paper plates and plastic forks and spoons. But everybody treated everybody well, as long as that took place. But no one really thought about it. As a child, I grew up wondering about it, but it's just the way it was. Well, I went to college. One day I pulled up on my motor scooter with a trailer in the back with my art supplies, and around the corner, coming down the sidewalk running as fast as he could, was a young black man. And he was screaming, "Help me, help me." And then around the corner came a little older white man with a table leg waving it. "Stop that inward person. Stop that inward person." He wasn't quite as nice as I am. Well, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who was in the right or who was in the wrong. And so I just sort of leaned over to try to catch the person so we could figure out what's going on. And I don't even remember touching him, but he ended up maybe trying to dodge me and wound up on the ground. Well, the guy got there with the table leg, and so he had him secured, and I went back to my scooter. And all of a sudden, I heard a pow! As hard as he could, he hit the man in the head, this black man. And the man on the ground said, "Don't hit me no more." And pow! He hit him again, and pow! He hit him again, and pow! He hit him again. It echoed throughout the campus. And so I turned to go back now to get on the white guy. There's obviously no need to be hitting the fella on the head. So finally he stopped hitting him, and I went back to got my stuff and went to class. Now, later on I got to thinking about it. I said, that whatever the guy did, he said he stole some cash out of a cash register. I don't know, but that was not right. But hitting him like that was needless and certainly was not right. And so I stopped a police officer later that day and told him my story, gave him my name and phone number in case he needed me to testify, because I felt like what the guy did with the table leg was probably much worse than if the guy did steal some cash out of a drawer and run down the street with it. And looking back now, with my almost having lived in 9 decades of experience, I have a feeling in the Deep South in the 60s that my little testimony thing got buried and was never even mentioned. And probably nothing was ever done to the guy that hit the man on the head. Now, I'm saying all that to say this. The Jews hated the Samaritans. And so this goes way back. And the picture I'm using today of the Colosseum when we were in Rome is where the Christians were fed to the lions by the Romans. But Jesus went to the Samaritan woman at the well and established a relationship and offered her living water. So he bridged that gap. Now, that was a long time ago when they were having problems when Jesus was here. It was a long time ago when they were feeding the Christians to the lions. And unfortunately for me, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it was a long time ago when I was at Auburn and had that experience. But I've said all that to say this. A lot of times we don't think about life. We don't think about our words. And when we say, now, I'll be honest with you, we usually say it not thinking. And I encourage us to start thinking about our words. For instance, the word master bedroom. It's nice to have a big bedroom and a big bath, but the word master bedroom actually comes from the time when there were masters and slaves in our country. And a lot of times we'll use just slang words like, man, I've been slaving out in the garden all day long, or I'm a slave to my job. Well, that obviously comes from a time that was not great for people. And then even in golf, the Masters golf tournament comes from the Deep South, where there were masters and slaves. A lot of times we'll say things like, y'all get quiet over there in the peanut gallery. Well, the peanut gallery actually comes from when the black people had to sit in the balcony and sometimes got a little loud and would toss the peanuts down, etc. So all of these words from our youth on up, we weren't there then and we don't realize it, but we're passing along that kind of heritage. Now this seems pretty harmless. When you go and you have a grandfather clause where you're grandfathered in, and it's a legal term that broadly refers to a clause that you could still be in something even though it's different now. Well, that clause was adopted by 7 southern states during the Reconstruction era. Under it, anyone who was able to vote before 1867 was exempt from the literacy tests, property requirements, and poll taxes needed for voting. But enslaved black people were not freed until 1865 when the 13th Amendment passed and weren't granted the right to vote until the 15th Amendment was passed in 1870. Thus, they weren't grandfathered in. I have been to churches and other places where we had a cakewalk. Today, the term cakewalk usually means an easy victory, or something that's easily accomplished, like, oh, we're playing that team next week. They don't even have a big line. They don't have a good quarterback. That's going to be a cakewalk. Well, the cakewalk originated as a dance performed by enslaved black people on plantations before the Civil War. It was intended to be a mockery of the way white people danced, though the plantation owners often interpreted slaves' movement as unskillful attempts to be like them. Owners held contests in which enslaved people competed for a cake. Later, the dance and the idiom was popularized through minstrel shows, characterized by a high-leg prance with a backward tilt of the head, shoulders, and upper torso. The cakewalk. Now, of course, the word lynch mob has evolved into an umbrella term for an unjust attack. But, of course, lynch mobs originated as hordes of people, most always white, who tortured and killed black people, often by hanging them as a form of vigilante justice. And yet the word got passed along to be used for many other things. I've heard people say, now don't you go getting uppity with me. Well, it's a word used by white people in the Jim Crow era to describe black people they believe weren't showing them enough deference. Don't get uppity with me. And of course, the term or phrase sold down the river refers to any devastating betrayal, like a friend turns their back on you, betrays you, sells you out, sticks a knife in your back, been sold down the river. Well, in the 1800s, black slaves were literally sold down the river, slave traders traveled along the Mississippi River, selling enslaved people to plantation owners further south. There awaited inhumane conditions and brutal labor that often ended in death. Now, I've said all of that to say this. Back in the Roman Empire, back when Jesus was here, back when I was a young man at Auburn, through the years using all these terms, and now it's 2020. They tell me that's the 21st century. 21st century, 2020 years since Jesus. Well, I, in 2020, picked up a friend of mine because sometimes it's raining. They don't have a car. They work hard and try to pay their bills. She happens to be an African-American lady, and I take her to work. And sometimes we stop at the post office so she can get some type of money order and I can get the mail. And so when we get out of the car together, I'm treated differently than normally. Normally I get out as a white Anglo-Saxon, somewhat, well, I was going to say handsome, but scratch that one off. Friendly guy anyway. and people just treat me so well. But when we got out of the same car together, a white man and a black woman, and went into the post office at the same time, I got looked at really strangely with odd looks and things. Now, that's just one example. Suppose you are a black person, an African-American descent, and you have to deal with that every single minute of your life. Now, I know we've made progress, and I know some good things are happening today. But as a white person, I want to encourage other white people to think about it now. Think about it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to deal with it. But a lot of people do. And I have lived long enough in the Deep South and in North Carolina and through all of these changes of life to know that there's some things that still must be changed. Before Jesus comes back, he's hoping that we will make some progress and we will be seen treating all people with respect, not looking at anything about skin or shape and all that, just looking at people as precious children of God, created by God. So there you go. Now this might not encourage you, it might make you mad. But when you lived in 9 decades, I guess you really don't care about the mad because you're just speaking the truth. And the title for this is Be Honest with Yourself. When you say, now I'll be honest with you, that's one thing. But make sure you're honest with yourself. And go out now. And not only have a great day, make it a great day because it's the only one you have. But help make it a great day for someone else that might be a little different than you. God bless you. I hope this daily dose of Darryl has caused us to be more honest with ourselves and think more about our words that we use. I am Darryl R. Peebles. I've linked the world with love through service since 1949. I am an ordained minister, trained in art and trained in fire service. I retired from the role of local church pastor to expand the role of serving and ministry in various areas. I'm available for your organization or your event. Among the things that I offer are pulpit supply when your pastor's away, weddings, funerals, counseling, after dinner speaker, adding a little magic to your next event, custom art and design, creative training for your business, consultant and life coach. Call me at 336-516-3793. Send an email to darrylpeebles@gmail.com. Check out the website, darrylpeebles.com. And also send correspondence to Post Office Box 953, Graham, North Carolina, 27253. I trust you have subscribed to this channel. If not, do so today. Please share this with your friends and your family members. Thank you so much for returning each day, and I hope you find inspiration, encouragement, and challenge in these daily doses. Now, go out and have a great day. Make it a great day. It is the only one you have, and God will bless you in a very special way. I hope to see you in person really, really soon. God bless you.